And then the next what I wanted to highlight is in the beginning you mentioned that when you feel weak and out of power and everything and just low, you would just be under the cover, cry or whatever feels good at the moment or feels right at the moment. And that's actually also important, to be as it is, as you feel. So it's like when the parents tell the boy not to cry because boys don't cry. It's the same, like then you don't let yourself cry. You don't let yourself to feel what you feel. So just to tell everyone, it's okay to feel what you feel and cry if you need to, be under the blanket for a day. But what is important is the power awakening as a next step, not to stuck into this situation.
Because that one is tricky as well, because it's like, okay, let's say I'm feeling depressed or really low or really down, like lethargic, slow and all of that, right? You know, I could wait until the kind of like the impulse to move comes, the impulse to go out, this little, because sooner or later hopefully it'll come, it might come. Or I can kind of force myself to like get out of it, step out, do something, take an action step. And to navigate, and that's for me at least the most difficult, when to, you know, when to lead, when to wait for the natural impulse and when to like go for discipline or go for just, you know, just grind my teeth or bite my tongue. What's the word? Grind my teeth, like bite my teeth basically, and you know, just do. And this is also, for me, that's tricky, you know. We could argue that, well, the moment when I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do it. Maybe that is a form of inspiration. But still, on the other hand, I found myself sometimes being like, laying down, being out of energy, and then having this moment where it's like, when will the impulse come? And if I'm stuck there for too long and the impulse doesn't come, that creates a state. That's a depressive state. And that's not I think we need some, I think we need some discipline and some, you know, action step. Because if I'm too much in my feelings, if I'm too much, you know, feeling bad, waiting for the feelings to change, I can be there for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And actually, today I was watching a neuroscience scientist podcast, and I don't know, the person, she or he, said in the brain there is a part which is needed to decide to do something, and if you don't do, this part can be weaker and weaker, and it can be stronger and stronger as well. So that's what they recognized during the I don't know what was the reason they were researching this part, but they definitely see the size difference between the disciplined people and those who are not. That part of the brain was bigger, stronger, and the other was weaker. So, and they said what you can do is basically do what you don't like to do. So decide to do it. Just, you know, I have to clean the kitchen. Then I just have to decide to go and clean the kitchen, and not, okay, tomorrow maybe, or after tomorrow.
Oh, procrastination is the fucking end of the world. I'm a huge procrastinator, so I'm working on it. But I read something cool recently. I can't remember who said it or where I read it, but apparently doing shit that we don't like apparently builds testosterone. So it's like it's a testosterone boost basically. This whole thing, like the grit basically. Like, you know, as you said, if it's a cleanup thing and I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. But then it's like, no, fuck it, I'll do it now. And then go and do it, and apparently that increases testosterone. And if that's true, that to me is very interesting. At least I've used that as an inspiration. I'm like, I could always use more testosterone, you know. So I try to, grit my teeth together and do it.
And to build the mental muscle, because basically based on this neuroscientist, she said those who keep doing this, you will have easier life later on, because you will strengthen this part of the brain. So it's something cool to keep in mind when I don't want to do something and just think about it like, okay, it's a mental exercise, let's do it.
Cold showers are an easy way to practice that one a little bit.
That's definitely.
Because it's like if I'm standing there, especially like I don't do the pure cold showers. I used to do it for a little while. I had almost like 3/4 of a year I only took cold showers. There was no hot water on my body. I only took cold showers. But then I had a moment where I'm like, oh, maybe just once, and then I was back into warm showers. But I've always ended them cold, and I've done that for must have been 4 years now. I always end my showers cold. And it's interesting, that moment, because it's that moment where it's like, I don't really want to. It's going to be uncomfortable. I could avoid it, but fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. And, you know, for me, that's a very easy way to build a little bit of this almost like resilience, this ability to face uncomfortableness. Also by choice, and just fucking do it.
But what you just said, it can fit to every situation. Like, I don't want to do it, I really don't want to do it, but I do it. Because I decide I want to do it. So everybody is that far away from doing something for themselves.
I want to emphasize something. You say, because I want to do it. And that to me is the power shift, because so often you use language in this horrible way where it's like, oh, I have to do it, I have to go to work today, I have to clean the house, and so on. And by doing that, we're mentally jailing ourselves. We create a victim situation that's very disempowered. But the minute I say, hey, I want to clean the house, I'm choosing to clean the house because I want to have a clean environment around me, or I choose to go to work because I want to have money in the bank and be able to survive and have food on the table. Suddenly that's empowered. And just that shift of words, just saying I want to do it, or I'm choosing to do it, rather than I have to do it. And I mean, I don't have to do shit. I could lay down, I don't even have to breathe, you know? But I choose to. Well, breath tends to go by itself, but, you know, and anything in life is like that. And it's a great reminder for myself as well, because I keep on forgetting. Every fucking thing is my choice. There's nothing that I have to do. I don't even have to feed my child or take care of my child. I choose to, because I want him to survive. I want to be a good father. I want, you know, all of these things. There's a reason why I do it. I don't have to. I don't have to make money. I don't have to be nice to my girlfriend. I don't have to anything. I choose to. And I love that, like the word shift. And I'm sitting here now speaking about it, and it reminds me to do it more, because I think the have-tos, they have seeped into my life again. And I want them out. There's no have to. I don't have to do anything.
And it's really good that you said also how you feel, because we're just talking about things. And why is it important to meet in the group? Is to feel better, for example, because I just talk about things. So even it is a pressure inside me that is like a big loop balloon and it's very full, then I start to speak, it's getting smaller, less tension, and I can cool down. Because maybe lots of things build up in my life and I didn't speak up at the bus or at work. And then in the group I can just ventilate all, talk about it, find solution or not. It's also fine. It's not about always finding a solution, but there's a very good chance. Because I just, last time on my workshop, I said to the guys, here we sit with 120 years experience in total.
Yeah.
And then you can hear a lot of things from here. So it's not just sitting at home watching a podcast and I get some info and okay. It's having human interaction. I can ask this person, how did you feel that time? What tools did you find? How was the situation? How you get out of it? So that's why I like groups better than podcasts, because in a podcast you can get some idea, but in in your area, in your current area where you live, you can find groups where you can just speak. And by speaking, we find own solutions. I don't have to hear the other solution around me. I can just talk and have some aha experience, like, oh, I'm talking about this, but actually I know how to do stuff. Or what should I do?
It's a really good reminder, and I like it's something that I say we, and like everyone, all humans, but especially men as well, because we tend to be so isolated. We tend to be so, in our own bubble. I have to deal with everything myself. I have to. And we don't really speak, but I like this wording of like, what's your, to ask each other questions about how we overcome challenges. I think that's a huge, I'm sitting with this now, I haven't thought about this before, but that's a great way to learn from each other. And I'm sitting here now being like, again, inspired to, ask these questions to especially men and have these conversations. What's your difficulty? How did you overcome it? Because everyone has had challenges in their lives, whether it's work, relationship, whatnot, and everyone's overcome them. And, as many different challenges as they are people and as many different solutions, some might have just overcome it by luck, some might have overcome it by time, someone might have gone in and done certain things. And, that's learning. I'm like, now I'm really inspired. I'm like, yeah.
Now this table experience came back, that we lifted up the table to cover the small table. But maybe on the workshop I figure out that actually I can just move the small table under and in a certain angle and it fits.
Yeah.
And I was keep forcing myself to do this way my life. But I can see like, it's also much easier this way.
Yeah, for sure.
For example, we're talking about self-awareness. And then others can say like, yeah, what's self-awareness? How can I make self-awareness? Is basically do anything that helps you connect your body and feelings. Anything, any exercise, any practice that helps you. You do yoga, for example. In
yoga and movement. Yeah, I don't do so much yoga anymore, but yoga is a great way. I practice yoga for like more than half my life now. It's a great way to connect. But anything that gives, like the last few years, I've been very into movement that aren't linear. Yoga is still a linear movement. You can imagine the asana or the posture you're getting into, and then you're kind of going into that. But those are sets, it becomes linear. What I really like is more free movement. We have to problem solve continuously with the mind to make it happen. It's like if I'm, and you can do every daily like stuff. I call it movement snacks. I'm digressing a little bit now, but there's something called movement snacks, and it's just these little ways of moving around in everyday life. Like if I'm brushing my teeth, could I, just stand on one foot doing it? Suddenly there's a whole mind-body connection that needs to happen. First of all, because it's a new movement. My whole body got to work differently. Maybe I haven't done it before, or just swapping hands with a toothbrush, brushing with the opposite hand of what I'm used to. Suddenly there's like a bunch of new synapses having to fire in the brain, and there's so much more connection. Suddenly I'm aware, wow, I got to work my hand differently. There's so much mind-body connection that happens just by doing something slightly out of the ordinary in the ordinary life. If I'm sitting on the couch, what happens if I sit a little bit differently, Suddenly there's like, oh, wow, I got to move. I got to, bend my knee, open my hip. There's like awareness happening.
So actually, anything that basically helps you to connect your body. If it's this, like standing on one leg, then I have to hold my balance. Because I'm on one leg, I feel my muscles engaged. I used to do this in this office when I'm standing at the table as well. And it's really cool. I do this with a purpose because I was sitting a lot, so now I want to feel that I engage all the muscles. And actually every little win, even if it's doing a new practice, even if it's cleaning a kitchen, what we mentioned, every little win is worth to celebrate. Like tell myself, like, I decided, I did it, and now I can enjoy the whatever is it. Because we get dopamine out of completing an action that was on my list.
Yeah.
But if I even celebrate, I tell myself like, yeah, that's cool that I did it. It's so good feeling, and be with the feeling what you completed. Even if it's your homework, even if it's cleaning, whatever, or just speaking up. And when you go home, just feel like, yeah, it was so good that I did it. Just remind yourself of the good things you have done. No, don't just forget it, because we tend to just go further and forget about things. But if you just have this in mind, like, wow, I overcome of this one today. I understood this one today.
Yeah. You often use that in circles as well as an inquirer. We could do it like one-to-one, you know, what are you most proud of? What have you done in your life that you're most proud of? And often, you know, if I ask a question like that, people get a little, oh, am I allowed to be proud of this? You know, people can get a little bit scared. But once you tap into it, you know, you're allowed to be proud of anything. And like the cool thing, especially in groups, is to shift it towards celebrations. You ask the question and then people can, you know, step into a circle and be surrounded by, like I do men's work, you could do this in mixed circle as well. And then having a person step into a circle, having the support of the group, the person can then voice what they're proud of, and they could, you know, the people around can support or celebrate that and be like, yeah, you know, good on you, a high five, you know. Person can stand in the center and be like, oh, fucking proud. They might not feel it in the moment, but then slowly it'll happen, you know, a few seconds, few minutes. It builds the proudness, it builds the celebration of something. It could be even just fucking, I got up this morning, I got out of bed this morning, you know, that could be celebration. That could be a worthy fucking thing to celebrate for some people. Some people might be like, oh, fucking hell, you ought to get out of bed in the morning. But still, for some people, that's, you know, that can be difficult. And then that ought to be celebrated, you know, and then to be able to have a group supporting you, celebrating something, oh, fuck, that's powerful.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, it's interesting. You have this example, and mine is similar. At work, I started to ask people to do a gratitude round.
Oh, that's nice.
You can imagine half of them standing with a cigarette and a coffee. And then I'm asking as a health and safety manager, I asked them, what are you grateful for today?
Yeah.
And it was the same in the beginning, that they were just standing, some of them, and what to say, and they were thinking about what are they grateful for today. But that's something, just also a very good exercise to give positive power, because it's really, really powerful exercise, what I'm grateful for today. And by the end of the project, it was so good to see that they were able to open up, like expressing even more and more about why are they grateful. And they were laughing a lot on each other, not like in a bad way, but in a good way. It elevated the mood. And actually we had similar outcome by sharing, opening up, talking. So with men's, it's we start from sometimes from very bottom, but everybody, when they feel the energy they get into the rhythm. But we need to guide them to have the environment, because if these guys go home and in the pub they tell the same for friends, maybe they will just laugh on it and just like fuck off.
Yeah.
But actually that person experienced how good is this to do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's also, again, coming into the group is something that can elevate your life energy, or your life force, because you are with individuals who want to connect, want to develop, and want to be together with those who's like-minded. So it's something. It's not a one-timer exercise or one-timer experience. It's something that keeps supporting everybody when they attend. So that's how I feel, and I see also on people who's keep coming back. They feel better, feel they are in power. What do you think about the necessity of power awakening? Actually, you talked about this already with some examples, but just to concretize it.
I think it's very important. I think it's hugely important. I think that's the... Yeah, I think it's especially, again, working with men, I tend to focus on men. I tend to sort of speak on behalf of men or for men, and especially for men, I think it's important. Because it's all about, it's kind of like, for me, the way I normally explain it, I'd say it's about grabbing your balls and going out in the world.
And in a relationship, what happens if somebody loses the power?
Oh, it gets messy. I mean, damn. And I think so. I'd say I'd go out on a limb and I say that most men in most relationships, I think they feel, if they really feel into it, if they really analyze themselves, they realize that they are a little bit disempowered. Because we get into, again, it's like, you know, we have so many unconscious strategies to get love. And those strategies can be quite not optimal. And a lot of those strategies are about giving up ourselves, our wants, our needs, our desires, our cravings, our, you know, our boundaries. To give all that up in order to get love. Love or sex. If we're men, we tend to give it up for sex, we give it up for love. Our boundaries are, and so on and so forth. And that's disempowering. So it's hugely necessary. Like it's, yeah, we need empowerment.
Yeah, I was thinking about to have the second part of the podcast about the relationship topic, because how I heard, experienced is when man is not in power or lose the power, then the woman steps in and starts to control, be in power, help and everything. So when we want to be a man in a relationship and not to give this role to the woman, we have to be in power. So that's what is very important to keep in mind, that if we don't maintain power, if you are not in power, then basically it will be very hard to find a happy relationship and I can feel as a man. Yeah. So I would really recommend to get the job done. Otherwise,
but it messes with attraction as well, because there's something about, it messes with attraction. I mean, by all means, we're allowed to have periods of depression or lethargy or giving up in periods. That's totally fine. We are emotional beings, men as well. So we're allowed to have all of that. And so without causing extra fear, again, I'd still argue that disempowerment is hugely unattractive. So it's something about, you know, once we gain our power, once we set boundaries, once we go for what we want, once we become directional, once we go for our mission, that's attractive. People are drawn to it. Other men are drawn to it. You know, you gain friends, you gain lovers, you gain relationships. Like, people are drawn to people in power or empowered people. I don't mean power as in like high, like power in society, but I mean inner power. It's hugely attractive.
And actually, when you gain the knowledge how to be in power, you can also maintain it. So it's much harder to get out of balance in a relationship when you already know how to be in balance, how to be in power. So it's I think really crucial for everybody to have all the tools basically to know how to get into power. So you not get into a situation when you in imbalance and then it's in a relationship and I have so much relationship topics and I just get out of balance completely. Because then you have a group to go, you have a person to go to speak, and then you have tools to get power, to know how can I gain power again, to deal with these situations in life. So we will continue the discussion, maybe with Anders, maybe with someone else, all about power awakening. And I hope we will see each other soon at Anders' workshop or my workshop, or just here on the screen. If you enjoy it, just follow us, share it with those who you think might be useful to put this info into the messenger or email. Thank you very much for the technique.
Yeah,
and the
thanks for having me. I really enjoy being a guest in your podcast.
Thank you.
Boom.
Good.
Perfect.